Genesis 1:1:1 is talking about prokaryotes. Alright? Now here you have, and God said, now remember, it's not like God is actually speaking, it's just saying that this is what happened. Okay, let us make man in our image and in our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, the fowl, the air, cattle, and everything creepeth on the earth. Okay, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created him, male and female created them. That's the nuclear and electric. Okay, see, that's pretty much the whole. It's always the Y and the X factor. I mean, that's pretty much what it is. It's always the Y and the X. Okay, but it's always the male and female. See what I'm saying? And this is the singularity, more or less. It's a star also, and a cell, you know. So this is the nuclear and electric, or alpha and omega, that always is, was, and always. I mean, it's, you know, it always is, and it creates the universe and matter. You know, it's energy, alpha and omega. You know, it can only transform. Energy does not die; it only transforms. And this energy literally exists in everything, and it always manifests itself in biological forms, nuclear forms, quantum forms. It's always the same two energies, and it's always the same program, basically. You have the nuclear seed, which is the core, and then you have the electric, or the shell around it, the female, the mitochondria, however you want to look at that. That's the nuclear and electric. Even in biological functions, these are bionuclear and bioelectric functions. Okay, biophysics, biomechanics, bioelectrics, you know. And that's real. I mean, literally cells have electromagnetic fields around them. They're like micro stars. We are literally biological stars. This theory is not crazy. It's actually literally what these far ancients knew. And it did lead to metaphysics, because they knew these metabolic functions. Okay, and God blessed them, and God said, let them... Okay, it's not like it's saying this stuff, right? Replenish the earth. Okay, that means if there's replenish, that means that something happened and something's gone, and they have to replenish it. Okay, so this has to be after something died, literally. This is a fresh start from an extinction, apparently. Okay, this where it said when there went up a great mist from the earth and watered the whole face of the ground. I mean, that sounds like precipitation. I mean, that doesn't sound impossible or crazy at all. I mean, what? Because God did it? I mean, what? If it's nature, then of course, you know, nature made precipitation. You know, why is that so hard to believe? Why is that so... What's the fight about? What's the fight about there? I don't understand it. And Lord formed man from the dust of the ground and breathed life into his nostrils, and the breath of life into man became a living soul. Okay, what's so hard to believe about that? You know, oh, God formed... Okay, if nature formed man from the earth, I mean, what? We do come from the earth. I mean, we're the same constituents and pretty much roughly the same percentage, you know? So, I mean, it doesn't sound impossible at all. It doesn't sound crazy. You think, I mean, if you want to make this into something that it's not, you know, yeah, I mean, it's obviously going to sound stupid. But it only sounds stupid because you're being stupid. See what I'm saying? It only sounds stupid if you are stupid yourself. I'm just saying. I mean, I'm just saying. If you can't understand blatant, obviously, like, translated, like, to a child format... You know, like Aesop's Fables. I mean, Aesop's Fables might be, you know, just stories, but that doesn't mean that I have morals to them, you know. I mean, there's some truth to it. It's trying to tell you something. It's conveying a message in a simple way. That's all it's doing. See what I'm saying? So what's so hard to fight about that? It seems like these are pretty rational things, you know, if you understand how to take it. If you don't make it into a big a fuss over a bunch of nonsense, I mean, and making it a bunch of nonsense. I mean, I'm talking about believers and non-believers. They both do it. Just see it as what it is. Like God being a word. It's the word. It's talking about, you know, it's used as anything. It's a nomenclature, a placeholder word. You know, that's why it's the word of God. People have made that into, the word of God. I believe in the word of God. Okay, you believe in the word of God. Okay, what? It's the universe, generation, operation, destruction. I mean, God means theos. Theos derives from to see, to look at, to observe. That's the universe. And right here, in Adam, let's see. Bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Okay? Now it's the same thing. Now, out of a man, the male, the nuclear energy, the male, alpha male, the nuclear, it carries both. It carries the Y and X factor. Okay? Now, this is basically the same situation here, you know? And when the woman's taken out of the man, you know? Therefore, a man shall leave his father and his mother, and shall cleave unto his wife, and they shall be of one flesh. That means they make a child. That's the Y and the X coming together to make a child. They're all of one flesh. It has more fundamental truth than people take it. They say, why do people fight about this stuff? It's so, a lot of it sounds, goofy, yeah, but it doesn't sound impossible. It just sounds like somebody's trying to say something in a, funny way. And plus, this book is like literally composed of a bunch of religions and theologies and all of that throughout thousands and thousands of years. It's all based off of one thing, and it's ancient science, all of it. But it's all talking about the exact same thing, the creation of the universe. And this is how it always happens in Y and X. And we even have these diseases, as a matter of fact, in our genes, okay, that actually corroborated this for me. You have the YX factor, the Y, the neutron, beta decay, the proton, and the electron. Okay, it's a repeating pattern. The singularity, a microneutron star, or a macroneutron star. This is Y and X. This is your nuclear and electric, the proton, neutron, and your electron. Okay, this is all of them in the universe. All right, the Earth. It has its nuclear core. This is where ribonucleotides would be formed, okay? This radiation causes nuclear stress, ribonucleotides, thermodynamics, this is literally the seed of life, the primordial ooze, okay? But you have to have that area for it to incubate too. That's Mother Earth. That's why it's Mother Earth. That's why it's alpha male, Ribonucleotides, the seed of life, the prokaryotes, like I was talking in Genesis 1, the seed that's in itself, It's not, the whole answer, we even know scientifically what the answers are. It just needs to be put into perspective. All of it's true. Every one of them, every religion is right, but they have to see how they're right. They don't want to claim it's science, but they're wrong about that. It is science, If they would get their heads out of their ass, they'd realize that. All the non-believers would realize that it's science too, and they should feel vindicated, like, they were wrong. But at the same time, they feel like they're wrong because the thing is right. It's like a paradox. All we got to do is rationalize it. Once we rationalize it, it loses all the mumbo-jumbo meaning. All of that becomes nonsense that we totally finally figured out, and we finally understood what it was trying to tell us. We saw the big picture, and then we started getting along, and finally didn't have to fight and argue anymore. Alright, so you got your seed, the YX, the mitochondria on the Y. Okay, that's the YX. Then there's the X. So literally going to get a YX formation. You're always going to get a YX or YXX, YXXX. It's there, and these are literally chromosomal diseases, which is insane, This is your limbic system here. This is your nuclear, the YX. This is what's going to happen. This is basically what your body's going to evolve into, okay? Once you're literally fertilized and growing into a human, okay? This is your cerebrum. This is the X factor, okay? You have your Y and your X factors, all right? This is the nuclear. This is the electric. This right here is the mitochondria. This is like the little brain. This basically helps the mitochondria decode. It's almost like it's there to help the nuclear energy communicate with the mitochondria energy and create a human. You see what I'm saying? And this part right here is an amplifier. What it does is it synchronizes your nuclear, your limbic brain, and your cerebral cortex. It amplifies. It keeps them synchronized. And your pineal gland is the most positive area of the brain. See what I'm saying? Of your body, literally. It's like the nuclear positive. So whenever you take in fluoride, which is the most electronegative element, well, fluorine is, but it's fluoride. It's very electronegative. It's going to go straight to the most positive part of your brain. It's going to calcify it. And that's why it literally calcifies the pineal gland. Because that's a bridge to help your hypothalamus communicate with the hind brain right here, your small brain, the little brain, your cerebellum. Keeps the cerebellum in sync with the limbic system, and the limbic system in sync with the cerebrum, your neocortex. But it's all about the Y and X. Like reptiles are going to evolve first because they just evolved from this prokaryotic life. But they became complex life from prokaryotes. So they're only going to have a limbic brain. But then you have complex life from a eukaryote, which is Y and X, and you get a mammalian brain. See what I'm saying? So the Y factor, the prokaryotes wanted to create life too, but they created and then evolved, but they evolved into reptilians. Then eukaryotes, they evolved into mammalian and things that are eukaryotic, And it's always about the brain and the sex organs that evolve. So if we can focus on those two things, we'll see a pattern. And actually, the seahorse is where the transitional state becomes the Y and X when it comes to mammalian and more complex life. I've broken it down to the seahorse. There's the transitional state. Look up how a seahorse does it. And plus, they're the hippocampus. A hippocampus this is pretty much like what a seahorse looks like, and they're called a hippocampus, and that's a major part of the brain right here. So I started looking at that, and it kind of seemed weird. Then I started looking at their procreation, and it all started fitting right into place. It's answers that we've been looking for that are right in our faces.